You always just attack it when defending.
I think it's like.
People deluded, I'm back again.
Come on, Ian. Come on, Ian, and with an introduction like that, people deluded. I'm back again. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and of course, in some cases, good night. Extra good morning to those of you like myself in the United Kingdom. Enough of all of that. In fact, before all of that, I hope you're doing well and safe. I hope you and your loved ones are in great health. I appreciate my regular viewers for tuning back in again. If you're new here, make sure you're subscribing. Make sure you're subscribing anyways and smashing the like button. Let's see what's concerning Arsenal Football Club. I'm going to do a separate video on this, people, and if you want to let me know your thoughts. But completely off topic before we begin with all of these tab police, look away now. I can't lie, I think Arsenal fans owe Edu an apology, really and truly, because he's making things happen at this football club, and it seems like there hasn't been a boring week in relation to the transfer window. We seem on the verge of confirming our fourth signing, albeit on loan with an option to buy. 1 minute we're signing Raya for 30 million, then it's 30 million plus add-ons, then it's a total package of 30 million. You all know all these journalists, they all say different things and then edit the articles. But as you can see in front of me, smash the like button, subscribe, let me know your thoughts throughout, people. David Raya to join Arsenal on loan with option to buy from Brentford, says David Ornstein and a couple of co-writers of The Athletic. David Raya is set to join Arsenal on loan with an option to buy from Brentford. The Spanish international goalkeeper is moving to Arsenal as competition for current number one Aaron Ramsdale. The deal is expected to see Raya move across London for an initial 3 million loan fee with the option of making the switch permanent for a further 27 million next summer. Now, the first thing we've seen there is, how do you look at that loan thing, people? Is it a year for David Raya to prove that he can actually, for all the talk and how much he fits the system, and as much as we like him, and I'm sure Premier League fans and Brentford fans would echo those thoughts, is it a year to kind of show Mikel Arteta that you can deputize / take Ramsdale's spot? Is it a year to show Ramsdale that you're actually the number one? Is this, not that I think Arsenal are harmed by FFP, but is this a bit of creative accounting? You run them 3 million now, we have an option to buy, we can factor in the remaining 27 million of this deal for next summer's budget or whatever, depending on that landscape. Does this give us flexibility to, if worst case scenario David Raya doesn't impress for Arsenal, we can look at other targets? Is this just a confirmation thing that, he will sign permanently? I don't know, people. But 3 million quid in a loan fee, they bought him for 3 million pounds. And I think Brentford are due to win. And what I would say is, fundamentally, he picked Arsenal over Bayern Munich, but you heard, Bayern Munich tried to formalize a deal kind of with the same structure. Why did that get rejected and why was this accepted? I can't lie, for Thomas Frank, I could understand the frustration because, even if we pay 30 million or even the 40 million they asked for, we're not just going to wire transfer you 40 million. There's all different inner breakings of the deal when you get certain portions of that money and when. But how much does this affect Brentford's transfer window when, for a player whose deal's running down next summer, obviously he's apparently going to sign some sort of an extension for Brentford. It's a win for Arsenal, really. And to be honest, if I was Brentford or anyone connected, I would quite frankly say Edu is taking the P. It's a very good deal, really and truly, in my opinion. And hopefully it means there's more money in the budget for this window so that we could potentially bring in a next name. Raya has 1 year left on his contract with Brentford and now will extend that ahead of the transfer. The 27-year-old bidded farewell to staff at Brentford's Jersey Road training ground on Wednesday, with a medical of Arsenal now expected on Thursday. At the time of making this vid, it's 8:59 a.m. in the United Kingdom on a Thursday. So you'd imagine he's waking up, he's having a breakfast, he's showering, he's getting himself ready, and then he'll probably make movements to London Coley and get things done. And then obviously it's a case of, signing the dotted lines, dotting I's, crossing T's, doing your media duties. Hopefully he's wrapped up before Saturday's game against Nottingham Forest, where we'll be playing Matt Turner, who's obviously signed for Nottingham Forest. We need a goalie on the bench. With the greatest of respect to the young Carl Hein, you're not ready. You're just not ready, really. You need to go on loan, minutes of currency and all that, play consistent football. Arsenal are keen to get a deal over the line ahead of the first Premier League game of next season against Nottingham Forest on Saturday. Bayern Munich had been exploring a similar deal for Raya, but the player always favoured a switch to Arsenal, where he'll be reunited with Brentford goalkeeping coach Inaki Kanya, people. So we'll have to see exactly what's going on. But again, I think we've all said it. You can see why Mikel Arteta wants to sign Raya, 27 years of age, fellow Spaniard, has gone through difficult moments in England. He's been on a couple of loans. He's been in and out of teams. He's made mistakes. He's all of these sort of things. I think like Mikel Arteta, more or less are Spanish, but because they've been in England so long, and I wonder if that affects positively the homegrown ruling for us, basically English. You look at him, obviously Mikel Arteta is a stickler for how the players conduct themselves on and off the field and in training. And you're seeing a lot of these players settle down. A lot of our players are getting married, having kids, beginning their families. And when you look at Raya, I was reading an interview. He says, probably capping, but he said, I just like to watch Netflix series with my girlfriend. And if I'm Mikel Arteta, boy, you can be rest assured that, for instance, Arsenal are playing on Saturday. If there's a motive on Friday, he might just stay in his yard. But yeah, man, big up Raya for signing for the club. Fabrizio Romano has said he's joining on an initial £3 million plus a 27 million buy option clause. Brentford allegedly accepted this way as it helps Arsenal with FFP. Not that I think we're in immediate pressure, but it helps us get a bit of creativity around that. There's a buy clause automatically activated after a few games, otherwise available for Arsenal in 2024. So whether that's 5 games, 10 games, 20 games, X amount of games in the Champions League, X amount of minutes, who knows? But it does become automatic. So it financially secures Brentford in that it can turn into an obligation. There is a buy option for, I'd imagine he's going to sign a 1, maybe 2-year extension for Brentford, just in case Arsenal, worst case scenario, said we're not on this. They can either reintegrate their keeper or he could be sold on elsewhere, really. Pardon me. Bit of a, not that I'd think it affects him because, he'll still get called up by Spain, but you got to remember this is a Euros year for a lot of players. And, Timber's joined us. Raya, who's talked about being the Spanish number one's joined us. Obviously, whether he eclipsed Ramsdale or not, you'd imagine at this moment in time, there's no clarity over who is the number one. You'd imagine right now it's Ramsdale, but who knows? And that obviously the minutes you play or don't play can affect whether you get called up or not called up for countries. You look at Timber, it's a risk. You could have stayed at Ajax for another year, maybe joined a club where it's clearly seen where you walk into the starting 11. I think Timber is in our strongest 11 at this moment in time, but who knows? But we're digressing, people. Apparently, once again, they accepted it to help us with FFP. Once again, Matt Turner. It's a case of one goalie out, one goalie in. Matt Turner's completed his move to Nottingham Forest, people. Big up the 29-year-old. He made 7 appearances for Arsenal last season. Hopefully, he plays all the games in the world. Just hope that you're poor for 2 games in a Premier League season. That's obviously against my football club times 2. Away with Balogun. 1 minute he's getting Monaco, then it's Inter Milan. Allegedly, West Ham and Monaco are emerging as the main competitors for Balogun, as they're currently the only 2 clubs capable of meeting Arsenal's 40 million plus asking price. I know you can't carry bad feelings when negotiating and you can't do the emotional thing, but West Ham took us around the houses. If West Ham in particular want to sign Balogun, we know you're a Premier League club, so you got money. We know you've let Skamaka leave. Vlasic has left. Declan Rice, we just ran you 105 million. If West Ham want you, give them a taste of their own medicine. You need to be paying the 40 plus asking price. Monaco, Inter, they're going to kind of want to play games. The more clubs that are interested in young Balogun, if he isn't going to have a future here, the better. Top money, sell on clause, sell on percentage. We keep it moving. And I don't know where, don't forget to let me know your thoughts. I don't know where you lot stand, but I could understand going to all these clubs. West Ham, you're staying in London, Premier League club. Experienced manager like David Moyes, even though I think he might get frustrated and leave. They looks like they're bringing in Edson Alvarez and Ward-Prowse. They want to probably do what they're doing. You're in the Premier League, because many people will say for Balogun, you've only done it for 1 year. You've not done it in the Prem or La Liga or something. Not that people can diss the French league, but people might say, you know what, Lacazette was a good player for Arsenal. Couldn't get nowhere near 20 league goals apart from probably 1 season. Gone back to Lyon, looks a yard faster, scoring goals, doing a madness. So they might say there's league R tax. Apparently the young strikers' preference had been to go to one of the Milan clubs, with Inter Milan looking the likeliest, but the Champions League finalists cannot get close to a fee. I mean, you just got money from Onana. The wages are shaved with Edin Dzeko and not paying any part of Lukaku's deal. Probably Skriniar's wages, so your resources are there. Couldn't begrudge him. I could understand wanting to go to West Ham. They're going to be in Europe, in the Europa League. There's Premier League football. It is a big club. You're staying in London. I could also understand Monaco. They know all about you. They tried to put in a verbal offer for you when we played you in pre-season. It said in the Athletic, Monaco will sell you if you develop. It's a good way of life. You know the league. You probably know the manager and everything around it. Inter Milan, Champions League football, massive football club with a divine history and great players and great strikers that have played for them. I can understand with Balogun. Not everyone from Haylen can make it. I would love for Balogun to sign a new deal, stay at the club. In an ideal world, it would be lovely for him to go out on loan again, because I don't necessarily feel you're at the level that some fans are saying, and I don't think we should, in an ideal world, you wouldn't want to just draw some conclusions. I think he did well last season, 20 odd league goals. I still think with the, you know, the pressing, the dropping deep, all the other things when you're not scoring is ticking along. But in a Mikel Arteta system, goals are obviously important for strikers, but they're not necessarily the most important thing. Jesus, I know he was injured, but wasn't necessarily the biggest bagsman at Arsenal, but gave our squad something. When Lacazette the season before filled in, the same was said there. Eddie Nketiah, I think he's disrespected by Arsenal fans, if I'm completely honest with you, to a slight degree. But, you know, he filled in while other people picked up the pieces. Not to say Eddie didn't chip in with a 1-2 goals, but it happens. You know, Haaland needs to progress players to go to the first team. If not, sell them, keep it moving, really. So, yeah, we have heard Brighton are monitoring, but it has almost this whole summer been aggressively into Milan and then probably Monaco now in recent days. West Ham are there. That's 3 clubs. Let's keep it moving. Let's get things happening. I'm sure as the window progresses, Balogun, Arsenal and interested parties, there's going to be appropriate pressure applied from both sides, because the longer it goes on, I'm sure Balogun just wants to get on with football. And I sure as hell don't want to keep seeing his indirects on Instagram and all these things, people. So, yeah, apparently... yeah, so that's in relation to Balogun, but things could get better. Apparently, Arsenal are seeking to make at least one more significant sell in order to bring in a number 6. That's interesting because on the face of it, I think you can bring in a number 6. I would have thought with the summer recruitments in midfield and couple of players that we already have, I would have thought there was more of a pressing need for a number 8, a midfielder whose strengths are more in the opposition's half than ours. I'm not against a 6. It would have been lovely to get Rice and Caicedo, especially with Rice showing he can play as a 6, obviously, and beginning to get to grips with playing in the number 8. There's actually rumors coming out that Rice has been playing 80%, which is scary because shows you can get better. And I just thought, you know, plays it the role a bit differently, but you've got Jorginho, you've got El Nene, you evidently have Thomas Partey and Declan Rice. I thought maybe a next one, especially because, you know, Havertz has come in. You do have the luxury of Fabio Vieira, Odegaard, Smith Rowe. I'm probably missing out one that can play in that rotated 8 role. So another number 6, I hear it, you know, probably not going to get a move for Caicedo. Chelsea have bidded for Lavia, so that one might be a myth, really. So we'll have to see. But it's encouraging because I would like another midfielder, especially Zubamendi, a player who some of you that follow me on a regular basis know I'm very passionate about that. But apparently we need to make one significant sell in order to bring in another number 6. I don't think the two are interlinked. I think we just want to focus on outgoings as Mikel Arteta seeks to add more variety to his midfield. The issue is that just like with strikers, there aren't many midfielders of that profile available for purchase at the moment. So we'll have to see, people, really and truly. As you know, Balogun got 21 league goals last season behind only Mbappe, Lacazette and Jonathan David, but faces being behind Jesus, Havertz and Eddie Nketiah in the pecking order at Arsenal. Yeah, if Havertz plays as a false 9 like you saw on last Sunday in the Community Shield, Eddie Nketiah, rightly or wrongly, is ahead of him. Jesus the same. You probably have the luxury of Martinelli and Trossard both playing that rotated false 9 ahead of you as well. And you could even argue, while he's only done it once, but the very fact that many years ago Mikel Arteta played Smith Rowe as a false 9 in the Europa League latter stages could tell us that he might be ahead of you as well. So we'll have to see. Inter Milan's director a few days ago said on Balogun, we want someone who can score goals. And for sure, Balogun is one of the opportunities, but not the only one we're tracking. Lukaku deal, I'm not interested. Them and they are vexed. Charlie Patino seems to be moving closer to joining Swansea on loan. Again, this seems to be a loan versus a permanent offer. We'll have to wait for details. But at this moment in time, the Romanos, the Ornsteins of this world have not said it's a buy option. So for me, with Charlie Patino, he had a great spell at Blackpool, need to let the man develop, but you just hope a pathway opens up. You know, I don't know if Jorginho, El Nene and Partey will all be here next year. I know they're different profiles, but just in terms of midfield bodies, maybe a position will open up. But he's contracted until 2025. So it all depends how good his loan spell is. It all depends the clarity over a pathway. And we might have to make a decision on him with a year left on his deal. Hopefully Edu and Cole have convinced him that he still has a future here. As Arteta said, we have to slow cook him. I think he's at the right stage of his development. The problem is, even this extends to Balogun, the problem is time is an illusion because, you know, when Arsenal are bringing in players for X amount of millions, whether that's 6 million or 50 million, 60 odd million, when we're trying to be a team that's winning trophies, there's less opportunities for young players and whatnot, people, and simply put, less opportunities for consistent minutes. So we'll have to see with him. Keeping up the theme with Balogun, Romano said Monaco have sent a £30 million bid this week, not enough yet to convince Arsenal to have a budget of around €30 million for a striker, but they can include an important sell-on clause, which obviously if they've only got 30 million, we're saying 40, you ain't got enough money to buy stuff really. Both clubs remain keen, but Embolo broke his ACL. Monaco are really pushing. The player is listening to both clubs, as you should, people. Inter are losing the race for Balogun despite having an agreement with personal terms on him. We have heard he's agreed personal terms with both Monaco and Inter, and allegedly Monaco are now ahead, and Lens, who have let one of their strikers leave to Leipzig, have also joined the fray for the guy. And then, as you can see here, that's the image I used for the thumbnail. Keeping up the theme with players leaving on loan, people, FC Nantes apparently have reached a total agreement with Arsenal for Marquinhos to join on loan with a purchase option. The player is scheduled to arrive in France on Friday. Hopefully he does better than the last right winger we loaned to France, people. So we'll have to see exactly how that one there develops. What is this? I've just seen this. Ornstein has said on Arsenal, they need to get players out. Partey was linked at the start of the window, but he seems happy and settled. And Arsenal would want a big fee for him. And increasingly, you feel like he could be an important part of that midfield alongside Rice. I mean, for me, Rice, Partey, and Odegaard's the first choice. I do think as it develops and everybody individually and collectively develops, I do think you'll see one of Rice and Partey in some games and probably a rotating eights of Odegaard and Havertz, or maybe, you know, the Smith Rowes and whatnot of this world, people. So we'll have to see exactly what's happening, people, really, really and truly in that regards. Just trying to see if there's more things for us to speak about here. Chris Wheatley has said there's also Marquinhos, who's still at the club. He will be going on loan to Nantes in France. They're still discussing the terms of the deal, whether it be an option or an obligation, but he'll be leaving very soon. I mean, turn that 3 million into a profit and we're calm. In terms of right wingers, apparently Pepe has received offers from Saudi Arabia and Italy. It looked like he was going to Turkey at one point, but still nothing to be said on our second record signing of the club, and was once our record signing before obviously Declan Rice came in. Apparently Charlie Patino is heading to Wales to begin his Swansea medical today, people, the 19-year-old. So big him up. Hopefully there's no complications. Hopefully he has a future at Arsenal, because I really believe in him and his mentality. Apparently Arsenal came very close to finalising £52.5 million transfer before Arteta pulled the plug. Specifically, what is this in relation to? Obviously, we've been linked with Lavia, we've been linked with Kudus and whatnot. In relation to Zubamendi, what has been said here, he was very close to agreeing to move to Arsenal. I mean, for every report we see like this, we hear that he made it clear he doesn't want to leave Sociedad, and we tried to get him in January. He has a £52.5 million release clause, and it was supposedly set to be activated by Mikel Arteta side, and thus the player only needed to sign off on the deal to make the move. Barca already keen, but apparently Sociedad were not willing to entertain a La Liga switch, and Zubamendi favoured a move to Arsenal. The reports linking the midfielder with a move away then suddenly went quiet, with the player's public message explaining that he anticipated a quiet transfer window appearing to conclude any hope of luring the midfielder to England. His current deal expires in 2027, but I'm trying to find what's going on here. Like, we know Jorginho's been linked with moves to Turkey, so I think we've been done by the article here. I don't know where it said he's pulled the plug, really and truly, but nonetheless, that's that. Keeping up the theme with Sociedad, people, completely off topic. Kieran Tierney's been linked with a move to Sociedad. Lavia, who we've been linked with, and he's more aggressively been linked with Liverpool and Chelsea. Apparently, Southampton have received a £48.5 million bid from Chelsea. You look at someone like Joe Shields, who's been at Manchester City, where Lavia was at Southampton, where Lavia joined. He's at Chelsea now, where Lavia is linked with. I don't know which one he picks between Liverpool and Chelsea, people, but they're both two attractive clubs. And Southampton have stuck to their guns of wanting 50 million. And between Liverpool and Chelsea, they're getting closer to whatever they value him at, people. So we'll have to see in that regards. Again, people, let me know your thoughts on Lavia, Zubamendi, Balogun, Patino, Partey, Jorginho, Nicolas Pepe, Marquinhos, David Raya on loan, the whole Ramsdale debate, and anything else we've discussed. Smash the like button, subscribe, turn on your notifications. Don't forget, with the Premier League back, we will be doing watch-alongs. We will be watching Burnley City tomorrow, Friday, Saturday, obviously Arsenal, Nottingham Forest. We will be watching Brentford Spurs, and obviously Chelsea, Liverpool, and there'll be many watch-alongs, people. So yeah, check out the rest of the content. Let me know your thoughts either when this video premieres / in the comment section after. Hope you all have a progressive day, week, and whatnot. Hope you and your loved ones are in great health. Thank you very much for tuning back in again. But for now, people, deluded, I'm out.
There's always that active red light, defending.
I've been given like